Here's a question that most people never actually answer honestly. Are you doing okay with money? Or are you just assuming you are? Because here's the thing. Most of us measure our financial health by looking at the people around us. Your coworkers, your neighbors, your friends on social media. And that's a terrible benchmark, because none of those people are telling you the truth about their finances either. So today, we're throwing out the guesswork. We're looking at the real data. Government reports, Federal Reserve surveys, Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers, and we're going to build a complete financial X-ray of the average American. Income, spending, debt, savings, retirement, and net worth. By the end of this video, you won't have to wonder anymore. You'll know exactly where you stand. My name is Zeus Invests, and this channel is about understanding money in a way that's actually useful, not intimidating, not preachy, just clear. Before we get into the numbers, I want to address something up front. A lot of people avoid looking at financial statistics because they're afraid of what they'll find. Either they're worried they're falling behind and don't want to confirm it, or they think they're doing fine and they'd rather not shake that feeling. Both of those instincts make sense, but both of them are dangerous. Here's why this matters. You can't navigate without a map, and right now, most people are driving blind. They're making spending decisions, savings decisions, and retirement decisions based on a vague sense of what's normal, not on actual data. That changes today. And just a quick note before we start. Everything in this video is for educational purposes only. This is not personalized financial advice. For guidance specific to your situation, please consult a licensed financial professional. Now, if you want to keep learning how to take control of your money, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. And if this video helps you see your finances more clearly, a like goes a long way. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the foundation. How much does the average American actually earn? According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median weekly earnings for a full-time worker in the U.S. sit at approximately $1,139, which works out to roughly $59,000 per year before taxes. Quick definition. When we say median, we mean the person right in the middle of the pack. Half of all full-time workers earn more than this. Half earn less. It's not the average pulled up by a few billionaires. It's the true midpoint. Now, $59,000 sounds reasonable until you factor in what actually lands in your bank account. After federal income tax, state tax, which varies a lot depending on where you live, Social Security contributions and Medicare withholding, that $59,000 can shrink to somewhere between $43,000 and $47,000 in take-home pay. That's roughly $3,600 to $3,900 per month to cover everything: rent, food, transportation, health care, and any savings. And here's the first thing I want you to hold on to, because we're going to come back to it. $3,600 to $3,900 a month is not a lot of room to work with. Now, that's individual income. Household income, meaning two people working, paints a slightly different picture. The U.S. Census Bureau puts median household income at around $74,000. That gives dual-income households more breathing room, but it also often comes with higher childcare costs, 2 cars, and more expenses overall. One more layer. Income varies enormously by education, location, and industry. A teacher in rural Tennessee and a software developer in Austin might both be average Americans statistically, but their financial realities are completely different. The point isn't to make you feel limited by a number. The point is to understand what you're actually working with, because that shapes every decision that comes next. Okay, so we know what's coming in. Now let's look at where it goes. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey, the average American household spends approximately $6,081 per month, or roughly $73,000 per year. Let that sink in for a second. If the median household brings home around $74,000 gross and spending averages $73,000, that leaves almost nothing. Literally, in many households, the math barely works. There is no room for savings, emergencies, or investing. So where is all that money going? The single biggest expense is housing. Rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, property taxes, averaging around $2,025 per month. That's over $24,000 a year just to have a place to live. Second is transportation, car payments, insurance, gas, maintenance. That adds up to roughly $1,025 per month, or more than $12,000 a year. And if you have 2 cars, you already know that number can go a lot higher. Food comes in third at around $779 per month. That includes both groceries and eating out. Then you've got healthcare, entertainment, clothing, personal care, and miscellaneous items filling out the rest. Here's what's striking about this breakdown. Housing and transportation alone eat up over $3,000 a month for the average household. That's nearly the entire take-home pay of a single median earner. This is what financial educators call the Big Two, and it's why where you live and what you drive have a bigger impact on your financial future than almost any other decision you make. Cut $200 a month from coffee and lunches, and you save $2,400 a year. Cut $300 from your car payment and housing by moving somewhere slightly cheaper, and you save $3,600 without changing much else. The spending data doesn't lie. For most Americans, the budget is already stretched before the month even starts, and that sets up the next problem. If income is tight and spending is high, what fills the gap? For a lot of Americans, the answer is debt. Let's look at the numbers. Credit card debt. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, total U.S. credit card debt recently surpassed $1.1 trillion. The average balance per household carrying credit card debt is approximately $10,000. Now, $10,000 might not sound catastrophic, but it becomes catastrophic fast when you factor in interest rates. The current average APR on credit cards, that's annual percentage rate, or what the bank charges you to carry a balance, is sitting around 21% to 22%. At 21% APR, $10,000 in credit card debt costs you roughly $2,100 a year in interest alone. That's money that buys you absolutely nothing. No asset, no experience you didn't already have, no future value. It just disappears. Student loans add another layer. The average student loan borrower owes around $37,000, and monthly payments average close to $400 for those in repayment. That's a significant chunk of that $3,600 take-home pay we talked about earlier. And here's where things start connecting. Tight income, high spending, and now debt service payments. This is the triangle that keeps a lot of Americans financially stuck, not because they're irresponsible, but because the math was never set up in their favor to begin with. A quick reality check on debt, because I know some of you are thinking, not all debt is bad. You're right. A mortgage on a home that builds equity over time is very different from a credit card balance for things you've already consumed. The difference is whether the debt is working for you or against you. At 21% interest, credit card debt is almost always working against you. So if spending is tight and debt is high, what does savings look like? This is where the picture gets genuinely alarming. According to recent surveys, including data from Bankrate, approximately 57% of Americans say they couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency expense from their savings account without borrowing money or putting it on a credit card. $1,000. Not a major medical procedure, not a totaled car, just a busted water heater or an unexpected car repair. More than half of Americans are one small financial shock away from going further into debt. The general rule you'll hear from financial educators is to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an emergency fund, money that's liquid, meaning you can access it immediately and separate from your investing accounts. For someone spending $5,000 a month, that means $15,000 to $30,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account. The reality? The median American savings account balance is around $8,000, and that number is pulled higher by people who have saved much more. The median person in their 20s and early 30s likely has significantly less. This matters beyond just being safe. Without an emergency fund, every unexpected expense becomes a debt event. The car breaks down, leads to credit card. Medical bill arrives, leads to credit card. That's how balances grow, not from one big, reckless decision, but from 100 small emergencies that had nowhere else to go. The emergency fund isn't glamorous. It doesn't earn exciting returns, but it is the single most important financial buffer between stability and a debt spiral. All right, we've covered income, spending, debt, and short-term savings. Now let's talk about the long game, and this is where the numbers get the most sobering. The Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, one of the most comprehensive financial surveys in the country, shows that the median retirement account balance across all Americans is approximately $65,000. Now, before that number feels reassuring or devastating, let's contextualize it. First, that number includes people of all working ages. Second, roughly 1 in 4 Americans has no retirement savings at all. 0. No 401k, no IRA, no pension. Their entire retirement plan, whether they've said it out loud or not, is Social Security. Let's talk about what Social Security actually provides. The Social Security Administration reports that the average monthly benefit is around $1,700. Annualized, that's about $20,400 per year. For someone with no additional savings, that's the entire income. In retirement, for every month of every year, for however long they live, can you live on $1,700 a month? In some parts of the country, barely. In others, not at all. Now let's look at retirement balances by age, because the median number hides a lot. Under 35, the median 401k or IRA balance around $18,000. 35 to 44, around $45,000. 45 to 54, around $115,000. 55 to 64, around $185,000. The final stretch before retirement. Here's the brutal math on that last number. $185,000 at retirement, using the common 4% withdrawal guideline, meaning you withdraw 4% of your balance per year to make the money last, gives you $7,400 per year. That's about $617 per month from your retirement accounts, on top of Social Security. Combined, you're looking at roughly $2,300 per month in retirement if you're at the median. Before healthcare costs, which typically rise sharply in retirement. Quick note for beginners. A 401k is a retirement savings account offered through your employer, often with a company match, free money, up to a certain percentage. A Roth IRA is an individual retirement account where you contribute after-tax dollars, and your money grows and can be withdrawn tax-free in retirement. Both are powerful tools, and the earlier you start, the harder they work for you. The data here is pointing at something important. The average person is not on track for a comfortable retirement. That's not an opinion. It's arithmetic. We've been looking at individual pieces: income, spending, debt, savings, retirement. Now let's zoom out to the one number that ties it all together. Net worth. Net worth is simple. Take everything you own: home equity, bank accounts, retirement accounts, investments, car value, and subtract everything you owe: mortgage balance, credit cards, student loans, car loans. What's left is your net worth. It can be positive or negative. According to the Federal Reserve, the median net worth of U.S. households is approximately $192,000. But again, that overall number hides the age breakdown, which is what actually matters. Under 35, the median net worth around $39,000. 35 to 44, around $135,000. 45 to 54, around $247,000. 55 to 64, around $364,000. 65 to 74, around $409,000. A few things stand out here. First, for people under 35, the largest component of that $39,000 is often home equity, meaning people who already own a home. Renters in this age group typically have a significantly lower net worth because they're not building equity. Second, the jump from the under 35 group to the 35 to 44 group is dramatic. Nearly $100,000 in median net worth gained in a decade. That's the compounding effect of steady contributions to retirement accounts, home equity, equity accumulation, and, hopefully, paying down debt. Third, notice how net worth grows fastest in the 35 to 54 window. Those are peak earning years, and they're also the years where the gap between people who invested consistently and people who didn't starts to become very visible. Net worth is the scoreboard, but it's a lagging indicator. It shows the result of decisions made years ago. The decisions you make today will show up in your net worth a decade from now. So let's pull this all together. Because here's what the full picture actually shows. The average American earns about $59,000 before taxes, takes home around $3,700 a month, spends nearly all of it, carries around $1,000 in credit card debt, has less than $10,000 in emergency savings, is behind on retirement contributions, and has a net worth under $40,000 before age 35. That's not a moral failure. That's a structural reality, a system where incomes have grown slowly, costs have grown fast, and financial education has mostly been an afterthought. But here's the part that actually matters for you, watching this right now. The gap between average and stable is smaller than most people think. You don't need a six-figure salary or a windfall inheritance to clear most of these benchmarks. What you need is clarity, which you now have, and a few consistent habits. Spend less than you earn, even by a little. Build an emergency fund before you invest aggressively. Contribute enough to your 401k to get any employer match. That's an immediate 50% to 100% return on those dollars. Pay off high-interest debt before building a large investment portfolio. Track your net worth once a year so you know if you're moving in the right direction. None of those are secrets, but most people never act on them because they never had a clear picture of what the baseline actually looks like. Now you do. These numbers aren't here to make you feel behind. They're here to give you a reference point, a real one, not a social media one. And once you have an honest reference point, you can make honest decisions. Use the data, beat the average, build something better. If this breakdown was useful to you, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow and reach more people who need this kind of information. Subscribe if you haven't already, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next video. We've got a lot more coming. See you in the next one.